It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
So, Jack Alexander, you asked, well, was it incompetence or was it corruption that Hillary Clinton didn't get prosecuted? I'd say it's a little of both. Well, no. Let me backtrack. It's a portion of incompetence, the bulk of which is hidden by corruption. That's what I'd have to say in answer to you.
Maybe, usually I normally phrase it as criminal incompetence or
yes.
criminal collusion. Considering every one of those things that were listed in that musical parody comes with a 5-year prison term and a fine of $20,000. If you were to lay them all out, Hillary Clinton would have at least 2 or 3 life sentences stacked end to end for just the email server stuff. And the fact that she wasn't prosecuted to this day bothers me, considering there was a general who, for the life of me, I cannot remember who it was, accidentally let his mistress use his laptop and got sacked over it and pled guilty to many of the same charges that Hillary Clinton should have been brought up on, just because he let his girlfriend use his laptop, which was a secured government machine. So this is the sort of stuff that just doesn't gel out when you look at it. Equal enforcement under the law? Yeah, in what universe, man?
Okay, it's funny you should bring that up. I made mention of this originally. Now, Comey admitted, we're kind of digging in the weeds here, but you have to dig in the weeds a little bit before you announce the new information that was exhumed late last week. Now, Comey, let's go back. Comey admits that Clinton lied, but there's a difference that we won't know precisely because there was no oath and no recording. Here's what people primarily don't know about the FBI, unless it just changed. The FBI doesn't record their interviews. Law enforcement agencies all around the U.S., almost all of them record their interviews, but the FBI doesn't. Well, okay, you can lie publicly all you want if people are sufficiently stupid to believe it, like much of the electorate and the American Media Maggots are doltish enough. But you should not lie to the FBI. Well, my guess is that Hillary Clinton came relatively clean in 3.5 hours. And that's why I believe this, that she was not placed under oath and the interview was not recorded. Why? Things like that make it easier to dispute later when politically necessary. There's no record, and it is not completely official. As the church lady would have said, how convenient.
I don't know. Okay, I would imagine that there's a statute of limitations on some of these crimes. Hopefully not. Hopefully, like murder, there is no statute of limitations on that. But the fact still remains: the crimes were committed. We know the email server was created. We know that information so sensitive that agents had to be specially vetted to even examine it. Information so sensitive that the majority of the 535 members of the U.S. Congress and the president doesn't have access to that information freely. That was transferred over. These were crimes that were committed. Whether she was interviewed under oath or recorded or not, it still doesn't change the fact that those particular felonious events have happened. It is fact. It has been proven. Isn't that grounds to at least get the bitch indicted?
You're dealing with a legacy with people that have political power such that even today is relatively staggering. Now, I said since January of 2017, 5 years ago, I said that what we're witnessing in the United States of America is a soft coup against a presidential nominee, a president-elect, and a sitting president. Back then, I was told that I was a tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracist, particularly with regard to saying that it's a soft coup against a sitting president, because by the time Trump got in, that wasn't happening. They were aware. That couldn't be occurring. Well, yes, it was, and it turns out that it was. Here's what we're discovering. These people involved.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Are dirty to the bone. And up until that time, because I used to work for the FBI a really long time ago and decided the federal law enforcement service was not for me. Worked for the FBI, was a sworn U.S. Marshal, and then started working for other agencies here in California and retired in 2016, 41 years. So I'm not stupid, and I am fairly well educated, and I know a good portion about the law, not only just California penal codes, about the USC as well, the United States Code. James Comey came in July, I forget what day it was, and lied to me. He lied to me because I know he lied. He didn't think that anyone was going to call him on it. As I have said time and time again here, there are two kinds of crimes as written by statute. There are crimes of general intent and those of specific intent. Go back to that briefing. Comey stated that Hillary Rodham Clinton had to have possessed a very specific intent to commit her crimes. And that is what, in his estimation, mandated essentially that he not go after her, except two huge exceptions, except that the U.S. codes applicable are not those of specific intent. Now, how can you tell when a crime is that of general intent or specific intent? It's very simple, because somewhere in that law you will find the phrase, with the intent to. That's how a crime of specific intent that's how it's crafted. And again, go back. I remember this stuff. Even more disturbing Attorney General Loretta Lynch didn't recuse herself from the final decision on whether or not to prosecute the case, nor did she give that decision to a career prosecutor at the Department of Justice. She just prejudged the case by supposedly blindly accepting the FBI's recommendation. Duh, of course she would. The fix was in. And Comey was predestined to take whatever fall occurred, if it occurred at all, and it didn't really, no consequences for him. But here's the other deal. The job of a law enforcement agency is not to recommend or not recommend prosecution. The job of a law enforcement agency is to line them up and make the arrest. And then you hand over stuff to the prosecutor, to the DA, to the state's attorney, or in this case, the DOJ. Who makes the decision as to prosecute? It's not Comey. And yet, because it was a politically, massively sensitive football, then Loretta Lynch was just happy as hell to let Jim Comey take the hit for making that decision when it wasn't his decision to make, because in any and every other case imaginable, she wouldn't have listened. No one would listen to an FBI director and say, yeah, we'll take that. Oh, director, if you say the DOJ isn't taking the case, I guess, well, we're not taking the case because you told us. Stay in your lane. The job of the FBI is to stay in their lane. And the job of the DOJ is to stay in their lane. Unless there's more going on here. And there was a ton more going on. Anybody remember that James Comey leaked himself? Anybody remember that? Bueller?
I do.
Did James Comey himself violate any laws by leaking? There's a United States code that was hammered into my head. 18 U.S.C. 641. Whoever embezzles, steals, purloins, or knowingly converts to his use or the use of another without authority sells, conveys, or disposes to any record, voucher, money, or thing of value of the United States or to any department or agency thereof, or any property made or being under contract for the United States or the department or agency thereof shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. Really? Yes, that's true. Here's Newt Gingrich.
Said, I deliberately leaked through an intermediary to create this counsel, who happens to be one of his closest friends. Then look at who Mueller's starting to hire. I mean, these are people that, frankly, look to me like they're setting up to go after Trump. They're including people, by the way, who have been reprimanded for hiding from the defense information in two major cases. I think this is going to be a witch hunt. I think that...
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Comey himself, by his own testimony, tainted this particular process. You have a director of the FBI deliberately leaking in order to create a special counsel who we're now supposed to believe is going to be this neutral figure. I think that's just nonsense.
It is nonsense. But that's what happened. And we still don't, remember that? Really? Seriously? Okay,
and That's the same U.S. code that Hillary Clinton violated numerous times. For every one of those records, she transferred off of the Department of State network onto her private server.
Let's see if I can. Okay, this is from memory. Let me see.
Any record?
Let me see if I can remember my USCs, because I had to. I didn't have a choice. We all know what I think of Jim Comey. I called him Jimmy the Leak Comey. Jim Comey, in my estimation, lied to Congress. He lied to me. He lied to you. He lied to the American taxpayer. He became the political butt boy of the Demorats, and in particular Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Loretta Lynch. He carried their water when demanded, and did so willingly under the false guise of, you can't see it, but these are air quotes, independence. Comey was as independent as your average cow or herd animal. He could easily have referred Hillary Clinton, for example, to the DOJ under these statutes. And there are 5, there are more, but these are the ones that I recall. There's 18 U.S.C. 793, gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information, felony. 44 U.S.C. 3101, about records management by agency heads. There's 18 U.S.C. 1924. This is the biggie. Unauthorized removal and retention of classified documents or materials, felony. 18 U.S.C. 2071. Concealment, removal, or mutilation of documents, generally. And one of the ones that was bandied about quite a bit, 18 U.S.C. 1001. Statements or entries that are generally false or misleading. So, James Comey...
One about destroying records, that would also include the taking to digital devices with hammers, wouldn't it?
It would certainly appear to me, if you had a diligent prosecutor, and therein lies the rub.
I mean, look, I don't have any real training in law, but I honestly believe that I could successfully try this case in court with the amount of evidence that is there.
I wouldn't disagree.
I could win this without a lick of legal training.
Because you have common sense. We're going to have to take a break right now. Be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick Ubellis as host and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Hi, this is Eric Thompson. Please check out my new Week in Review show, For Liberty's Sake, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Check out forlibertysake.com.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. Welcome back to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. I'm BZ. You're not. And let's just stop this right here. Stop this for a second, because I have to tell you this, folks.
Folks, this is BZ's final hour. Step up. Last call for alcohol.
And that's true. That's true. Since I've stopped there, I will also tell you that Jack Alexander is with us here tonight. I'll play the rest of that music some other time. Anyway, Jack, good to have you here tonight. Thank you for being here for an hour and a half. This is the final half hour.
It's always a pleasure. You know, I would love to put a program together for one of the cable networks where we could take these sorts of government corruption crimes where they've slipped through the cracks and actually try them. You know, okay, it'll be in absentia, but actually present the evidence to the American people and have a certified, I don't know, let's have Janine Pirro or Andrew Napolitano presiding over it. And we can try these cases in absentia in the media. I wonder how quickly these people would start ducking for cover, or the fact that politicians would be calling the likes of the Department of Justice saying, you know, why have you not prosecuted these people?
Number one, it would never see the light of day. Here's the other aspect that you and I both well know. Rhinos are Republicans in name only, and I've said this any number of times. Frequently, on a multitude of issues, there isn't a dime's damn worth of difference between both sides of the aisle. There are exceptions to the rule. I'm hoping that the exceptions start to become the rule. But the problem with saying that, in November we'll get the House back. Okay, all right. That occurred under Bush. At one time, the Republicans under Bush held the White House, held the Oval Office. Great. Also held the House of Representatives. Great. And also held the Senate. Great. These assholes, however, decided that they weren't going to wield the power that they had. They were too timid. They were too afraid that they were going to offend their contributors, their donators. Fuck that. Use the power you have. If it needs to be quantified in terms of retribution, oh well. Does anyone think that leftists or the Demorats or the American Media Maggots, when they come in power again, because everything is cyclical, aren't going to put a chunk of C4 under the seats of Republicans? And the answer is they will. But there's a good thing. There's a good thing that exists that frequently a lot of people don't, a lot of people meaning the American Media Maggots, don't refer to and don't use, is the internet. Oddly enough, I still have the internet, and the bulk of the important audio that I like to use these days can still be found, is still available. What's one of the critical things that you're still hearing from Demorats and the American Media Maggots today? Oh, there's Russian collusion. Still in 2022. Really? Here's 60 seconds.
Robert Mueller's report did not find any US or Trump campaign officials knowingly conspire with Russia in the 2016 election. That's according to details released on Sunday.
So after a long look, there was no collusion with Russia. There was no obstruction and none whatsoever. And it was a complete and total exoneration. It's a shame that our country had to go through this.
A summary of the conclusions from the Attorney General, William Barr, was sent to congressional leaders and the media. It also says that Mueller did not exonerate the president of obstruction of justice or find that he committed a crime. The chairman of the House Judiciary Committee says he'll call Barr in to testify in the near future. The White House says the findings were a total and complete exoneration of the president.
As they were. And yet, today, in 2022, we're still hearing Russia, 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 Russia. Well, if you haven't been listening to what's been going on, and I would say probably, Jack, you tell me this about Australia. In the United States of America, I would say probably 80% of the Americans are dumb shits and are not paying attention to what's been going on. And if they were to hear the show, they would say something similar to, Durham? Who's that? Investigation? What's that? Russiagate? What's that? Any thought as to what percentile of Australians are awake to the reality around them? Because what happens here in the U.S. eventually leaks down into the southern hemisphere.
Prior to COVID, I would have said that even more so, probably closer to the 95th percentile of Australians do not give a rat's ring if it interferes with drinking beer and watching professional sports on the weekend.
Oh, that's cruel, Jack.
Well, look, I'm only being honest. You know, the only
You're
time
harsh.
that they pay, the only time the majority of Australians pay attention to politics is in those 6 weeks of campaign. Yes, an Australian election is 6 weeks, 12 weeks if it's really a long campaign. But on average, it's usually 6 weeks, not 2 friggin' years like it is in the United States. But the only time they pay attention to politics then is when the auction is going on, and as to how much is the government going to give me in tax credits or family pay.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Welfare payments to buy my vote. And even then, you know, if it wasn't a law that Australian citizens must turn up to vote, 95% of Australians couldn't be asked to even turn up. So
that's interesting. There's a law that you must vote.
Yes, you must turn up and have your name crossed off the electoral roll. Now, you can scribble on your paper, screw it up, whatever, after that point. But, you know, scribble out the names and put Mickey Mouse. In one election in my district, somebody scribbled out the names of the political candidates and put Australian race car drivers, the equivalent of Australian NASCAR drivers, on there. Somebody else put professional Australian rules players and so on there. Other one used Disney characters. That's all perfectly legal. But it's a crime not to have your name crossed off the electoral roll.
Okay.
And, you know, they did that. They had to do that because, well, in Australia, they hold elections on a Saturday, meaning that the majority of Australians aren't at work, making it, you know, in theory, to make it easier for them to go and vote. But that cuts into time when they could be watching the tennis, the cricket, the football. You know, the bars here open at those that do close, you know, open at about 10 in the morning and run through till about, you know, 2 2 a.m. than, overnight. So they'd rather be at the bar doing 8-ounce weightlifting of amber fluid than voting or doing anything else for that matter.
Oh, liquid bicep curls.
Yeah. And this is the apathy that's here. As I said, every 4 years when there's a federal election, unless they call it early, the vast majority, as I said, probably 95% of Australians don't care. Now, that was pre-COVID. Now, with we're into our third year of restrictions and, government mandates now because of COVID. That is very much a different situation now. And I had to get this from foreign media. In fact, I had to get coverage of the massive protest out front of the nation's capital that happened last weekend, where 1 million Australians turned up, which is not a bad turnout for a protest when you've only got 32 million people in the country. But I had to go to a Dutch news service and listen to the news coverage in Dutch and then try and remember the Dutch that I'd learnt when I was living there with my first wife. In the end, I gave up and just used Google Translate and got the basic gist of it. But they didn't want to cover it in Britain. They certainly didn't want to cover the protests on any of the Canadian or American news because it's all linked in with what's going on. And, I would not like to be a member of any of the three major parties with the state elections that are coming up this year and the federal elections next year. There may be a metaphorical bloodbath.
Okay, so let me see if I have this right, Jack Alexander. Folks, I'm BZ, and we're listening to Jack Alexander tonight. He has a radio show called The Jack Alexander Experiment, which he will tell you about at the conclusion of the show. Jack Alexander, so we're talking about our midterms in November are a potential bloodbath. I'm not exactly so sure yet. But the Australian equivalent of the midterms will be next year then.
No. It will be we have a general election every 4 years. There are no midterms. If you are elected into the equivalent of the House of Representatives, that is a 4-year term.
Okay, I misspoke. What I should have said is our bloodbath is alleged to be in November this year. Your bloodbath may be next year. Yeah. I also find it incredibly amusing that the U.S. elections happen on the same day as the fourth richest horse race on the planet, that of the Melbourne Cup here in Australia. The first Tuesday of November. I had no damn idea. I found this story.
It just seems absolutely appropriate with all the donkeys that run for politics in the United States that it's held on the same day as a horse race.
Perfect. I found this article, and oh my God, I should have just made it a single topic tonight because there's so much material, and I still won't get to but a fraction of it. There's an article from the New York Post, which is kind of perplexing. I hope it's true. The headline says, most Demorats want Hillary Clinton investigated for any role in Russiagate in that scandal. And this is from 2 days ago, so it's a fairly recent article. A surprisingly large share of Demorats want to see Hillary Clinton investigated over her possible role in manufacturing dirt to try to tie Donald Trump to the Kremlin, a new poll says. That is, yes, indeed, interesting. This all stems from, and let me go back. This all stems from an article from 3 days ago that, of all things, Fox News broke, because you know it's not going to be broken by CNN, for fuck's sake. So it was up to Fox to try to bring actual news to the American public. The headline on this is where it all started. Clinton campaign paid to infiltrate Trump Tower, White House servers to link Trump to Russia, Durham finds. Tech Executive One and his associates exploited this arrangement by mining the EOP's DNS traffic and other data for the purpose of gathering derogatory information about Donald Trump. Stop. Go back to 2016. Back to 2016. Donald Trump was saying that he was, let me see if I get the terminology right. He said he was surveilled, or spied on, I should say. That the Trump Tower was spied on. And everybody at the time said, oh, what a blithering buffoon, OMB, Orange Man bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. No, that's what I said, was the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. And they said he was a tinfoil hat-wearing nutter conspiracist, just like I was back in 2017 when I said that all of this was an attempted soft coup on a presidential candidate, on the president-elect, and it turns out a sitting president. Lawyers for the Clinton campaign paid a technology company to infiltrate servers belonging to Trump Tower and later the White House. Stop. Trump Tower. That's Trump when he was a presidential candidate. White House. That's when he became president-elect and then sat in the Oval Office in order to establish an inference and narrative to bring to government agencies linking Donald Trump to Russia, a filing from special counsel John Durham found. There are a million places you can go with this. The first to be taken away is this, and this is, again, where I'd like you to weigh in. Does it not seem, Jack Alexander, like John Durham has moved at a glacial pace over all of this? And do you think that more will be unearthed? Because glacial pace, to me, that's a given. Do I think more will be unearthed? I think so. Jack Alexander, your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, it's gone incredibly slow. I think there was more than enough grounds to make some of these announcements way sooner. And, yeah, I do think there is going to be more to it. And, when we look at the timings of all of this, there was the video grab that I sent you that came out about the same time as all of this started, the Nancy Pelosi bite.
Okay, funny you should mention that because I have it up. Now, I played it a couple of times during the break, and the sound is really low. I'm going to give it as much volume as I possibly can, pump up the volume, so to speak, and I'm going to have to play that over my telephone because I can't get the necessary volume out of the computer. It's techno crap. Anyway, Jack Alexander, I'm going to play this. It's about a minute and a half, and then I'd like you to tell everyone what you believe the significance is of this. This is House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on C-SPAN talking about leverage on the impeachment. And let's see if I can do that. Okay. Apparently I can't. All right, let me stop this, go back. This is one of the things that I need a producer for someday. All right, let's try this again.
So in the aftermath of the Mueller hearing, you said that you want to focus on what you're doing in the courts. Now, some of your Democratic colleagues believe you're simply trying to run out the clock on impeachment. Are you trying to run out the clock?
No, I'm not trying to run out the clock. Let's get sophisticated about this, okay? Okay?
But how long
would that be?
Fights will take?
We will proceed when we have what we need to proceed, not one day sooner. And everybody has the liberty and the luxury to espouse their own position and to criticize me for trying to go down the path in the most determined, positive way. Again, their advocacy for impeachment only gives me leverage. I have no complaint with what they are doing. But I know Mueller, I keep calling him Special Counsel Mueller. Mr. Mueller said the other day, confirmed in the public mind that the president has obstructed justice. You know what he said. He could have exonerated him. He would have, he didn't. But he was not able to investigate the president's finances, personal, business, or otherwise, and that is what we are doing in the courts. So I'm willing to take whatever heat there is there to say when the decision will be made in a timely fashion. This isn't endless, and when we have the best, strongest possible case, and that's not endless either. I mean, it may be endless in terms of the violations of the law that the president is engaged in.
Okay, now, Jack Alexander.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa Welcome Bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And to you, why was that significant? What did that indicate?
Wasn't actually I thought there was more to that one. Following on from that statement, she then goes and explains the tactic that they're using, and she called it a wrap-up smear, where you put forward an allegation that you know is blatantly false, and then leak it to the media so that you can then turn around and, using her words, merchandise that media coverage in the minds of the American people, and to move things ahead legally. So the first idea is to make the false allegation, the Russia collusion thing. Then leak, find something and make a leak to the media. Now, we know that it was John McCain who leaked the fake Steele dossier, which the Clinton campaign has now been shown to have paid for that.
They paid for it, yes.
All right. Now, John McCain was used as a patsy to leak that to the media so that the Democrats could then turn around and merchandise that media coverage to perpetuate that narrative. Oh, it must be true. It was in the media. A government, a member of government leaked it to the media. This must be true.
Okay.
And played along it.
Here's something very interesting, which is why you have a thinking individual on both of our ends. You in Australia, me here. While you were talking, I found the cut that you're talking about. So let's see if I can get this to play. Pelosi admitting to using what she terms the wrap-up smear. Let's see what she says.
In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we're answering another viewer question. Chris Brown from Oceanside wants to know if a video of Nancy Pelosi discussing a tactic called wrap-up smear is real. Here's the clip.
You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation.
Some websites are sending around this video as proof the Democrats made up the assault allegations against Brett Kavanaugh.
But if it's applicable there, your point, Jack Alexander, is it's applicable everywhere, isn't it?
I mean, it is exactly what the Democrat Party did to Trump over the Russia, well, over everything. Not just the Russia collusion thing, Ukraine, and everything else. Every single alleged crime that the Democrats have accused Donald Trump of committing, this has been the tactic that they have used. But, they then go and use it on Brett Kavanaugh and so on. Now, that ABC thing was, they were trying to dissuade and this is where the media were caught lying yet again. That ABC journalist is saying, well, this is over Brett Kavanaugh. No. That was the original thing was of the same press conference as the first part you grabbed.
Yes, it was. It was. And the reason I know you're right, Jack.
Well, she was wearing the same stupid outfit.
Okay, again, since the beginning of the show, I said, Jack, get out of my head. There's only room enough in here for me. Because I was just going to tell you, I was looking at the two videos. They're on two separate screens. One's on my laptop, one's on my big computer Spectre monitor. She's wearing the same blue blazer, the same pearls, the same background, the same hairstyle. This is out of the same damn conference. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Jack Alexander, I got time before we go for one more story only. And then I'd like your take on potentialities. Excuse me. The headline on this is, Durham probe has accelerated with more people cooperating coming before a grand jury. Durham has run his investigation very professionally, a source tells Fox News Digital. Special Counsel John Durham's investigation has accelerated. More people are cooperating than has previously been reported. A source familiar with the probe told Fox News. Durham does this right and keeps everything a secret, the source said, adding that there has been much more activity in Durham's investigation than has been visible to the public. The closest look Durham has given with regard to grand jury witnesses came in a federal court filing last month outlining materials that had been provided by the special counsel's office. Durham doesn't explicitly name the individuals who testified before the grand jury, but instead their professional titles. So then, what the federal government does is this. And this is where this will be the final question for the show tonight. A standard federal tactic is to break someone and make an offer on the table. The first person to accept the offer to turn gets the sweetheart deal, and everyone else doesn't. Is that what is going to occur in the future, do you think, Jack Alexander? Is there somebody just waiting for the right deal, or has Durham already applied various screws or tools in order to get someone to cooperate? And should that occur, does the house of cards fall? Jack Alexander.
I'm not sure whether Durham has applied the right amount of pressure, but I do think that there are now a lot of people who were either the political appointees or staffers that see the writing on the wall. If I don't take a deal, I'm going down with the ship, and I will be thrown under the bus, like others have been in the past. So I think this is more of a case of the minions trying to cover their own asses and get out from under the bus before it runs over them. There may be, there will be pressure from the Durham investigation on there, but I honestly think, given the way things are moving towards November, that the minions are seeing the writing on the wall, and they're not prepared to fall on their swords for this.
Because it would be a very weighty and a very costly and a very deep, so very deep and glorious wound, perhaps even mortal. Jack Alexander, where can people hear your show and read what you write, sir?
You can catch me weekday mornings live, Monday to Friday from 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Just head over to the website, jackalexanderexperiment.com. Click on the watch live there. Don't worry if you're not up at that time to get it. There is shareable links to my archives of both the video and audio versions of the show, and I post those links on as much social media as I can. You can also find all of those links available at jackalexanderexperiment.com.
And if I'm not mistaken, people, you need to go over there quick like a bunny, but if I'm not mistaken, your website has also been spruced up for 2022, has it not?
Yes, it has. I've tried to put as much of it under one roof as possible. Everything from the Watch Now, the audio and video archives, the support aspect of it, all the links are there under one side.
Excelente. That's, by the way, Spanish for excellent. Jack Alexander, thank you ever so kindly for being here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Always a pleasure, man.
Let's see. It's about 10 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, still the 15th, here on the left coast, which means it's 1 a.m., a little after 1 a.m. on the east coast. And it's 1749.725 Drawer 3 subsector Grote Cluster 2 in Bolivian time, but I don't know anything about Bolivian time. It's just kind of weird. So, Jack Alexander, what time is it in Australia right now?
It is 2 minutes past 5 p.m. Wednesday afternoon.
See, and folks, again, now you begin to understand why when Jack's here, I always say...
Tonight's topics aren't going to discuss themselves. So it's tomorrow's news today with Australia's Jack Alexander here in the Berserk Bobcat Saloon.
Jack Alexander, thank you so kindly for taking the time to be here tonight. God bless, take care, and you be safe, sir.
Always a pleasure, man. Catch up with you soon.
All right, take care, sir. And, of course, now...
Monsieur has been locked!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at BZEP, at BZEP, and on my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. Promotional consideration is by Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And tiaras are by My Little Pony. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I will be consorting in about 10 minutes, since it's about a 10-foot walk from here to the refrigerator and the freezer where the Kettle One resides. Thanks to Jack Alexander for being here tonight in the saloon. Thank you for listening tonight. Thanks for being involved in the chat room. Thanks for listening in podcast, which is where I get the greatest bulk of my listens. Thanks to the American trucker, the Canadian trucker. So to all of you, come back Thursday. Lonnie Poindexter, all of you, thanks for listening. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good
night, Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.